fucking U.S. Comiskey Cellular 1 park, and he's going to fucking rake.
No.
All right. Tweet.
I don't think so.
Nick is just mad because Adam Engel's going to have less playing time.
That's right. That's right.
And Polka. All right.
Let me retweet this. I'll retweet it from SM as well.
That's almost a career high in OPS.
Save this gold for when we're live, bud. All your enthusiasm is contagious.
It's palpable, isn't it? Oh, we got a Zoe pick. Listen, everyone, in all caps. This will be the guy at SoxFest tomorrow. Heckle the living shit out of him.
Oh, bring that noise. You don't want that to happen, Nuke. Be careful what you wish for. If people start heckling me, nobody puts me in the corner.
Make sure you let them know he'll be very drunk tomorrow, too.
Not until like 6 o'clock.
You should ask a funny question to Polka.
I'm going to ask Rick Hahn how he feels about acquiring Mike Trout in 2 years.
It's a possibility.
Did you guys hear what
specific players?
Did you guys hear what Renteria said about Machado, where he'd play?
Yep, wherever the team needs him, baby.
He just scooted all the way around that one.
Wherever the team needs him, baby. Let's go. I'm believing everything I hear now. Let's go. Life's a lot easier this way.
Although you could interpret his answer as a foregone conclusion that Manny will be in Chicago. Is that what you were saying, Kevin?
No,
I'm reading it as him saying, if this guy's going to sign with us, he's going to do what the fuck we tell him to do, which doesn't sound very good for someone that has an ego the size of a child.
He literally said word for word what Tim Anderson said. It's fucking.
Hey, we're live, by the way.
Oh, he said this young man has said he will play wherever we need him.
Yeah, exactly. It's all.
That's different. Yeah, I thought he was saying he will play wherever I didn't see that he has said.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
Big difference.
Huge.
Let's go. I got to go to bed. I got a big day tomorrow. All right.
Ooh, yes, you do. You better plug it right away. Let's plug that pig.
Oh, buddy.
We were live.
Dirty. All right.
I'm already halfway through my beer. Let's go.
3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, January 25th. It's cold as balls, and you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Zawoski. They call me Zoe. And with me, as always, Mr. Aldo Soto.
Well, Zoe, we got to call you Big J, Zoe, this week.
We'll go medium J, not cursive either. And Matt Anuko.
Oh, you are a total Big J Journo. Tomorrow, baby.
It's a medium
Yes, you
J.
are. Look, you can't even wipe the smile off your face. You're going to be rubbing elbows with the rich and famous.
And Bruce.
It's a medium J, and it's written in crayon. And from Vegas, Kevin Fiddler. What's up, PK Fids?
What's up? But I don't know if you'll be rubbing elbows tomorrow, but I'm sure you'll be so excited you'll probably be rubbing something.
Yeah.
Or facial hair.
Practice. You need to practice the phone shove. Are we getting Machado?
Yeah. Softer, a little bit more with the elbow.
All right. Learn how to push someone else's elbow in there.
So,
especially when you're rubbing it.
We got a great show. Even though it's negative 100 degrees out in Chicago, there is a lot of stuff to talk about with regards to baseball. We're going to talk about St. Louis is apparently a very boring city, and if you say that, a lot of grown men are going to get butthurt. Cubs signed a new reliever. Baseball Prospectus put out their list of the top prospects, and the White Sox are littered all over it. And then we're going to just talk about the state of this offseason, because it has been a really weird offseason, and it's not for the marketplace or the players holding out. It's the way that it's been covered. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the possibility of jock jams coming to the South Side. And then they're basically going to rip on me for about the final 10 minutes about going to SoxFest. So with all that being said, no better way to warm up than with a nice beverage. So let's tap this keg. This show is being brought to you by sportsmockery.com. Sportsmockery.com. Go there for all your Chicago and Las Vegas sports needs. Make sure you're downloading the app, putting on those push notifications. So as soon as Manny signs with the White Sox, you'll be one of the first people to know. At sportsmockery.com, download the app, enable the push notifications. And before we get started here, we have to do our Tick Blitz Stat of the Week, TIXBLITZ, tickblitz.com. Go get all of your tickets. Although you can even go get some spring training tickets out there in Arizona. You guys, all shows, sporting events, they got everything. No fees, guaranteed to be there. Our tickblitz.com stat of the week is of those baseball perspective rankings. The White Sox had 4 prospects in the top 26 and a total of 6 in the top 76. So future looks pretty bright. Got some guys coming up. We're going to talk about where they rank in their individual positions in a little bit. But that is your Tick Blitz stat of the week, TIXBLITZ.com. Tick Blitz, go get your tickets there. All righty, fellas. Hope you all got it out of your system. Just save it for later. Make fun of me later. So let's start with the petty wars, because that seems to have had a big headline this week on baseball Twitter. Not even just Cubs and Cardinals Twitter. All baseball Twitter started joining in because of how ridiculous this got. So to set the scene, it was Cubs Fest last weekend. Chris Bryant is doing a mock talk show with Ryan Dempster. Cool. And it's just something silly. You know, they're playing to the crowd 100%. They know their audience. And they're talking about free agents and destination cities and things like that. And one thing leads to another, and they start talking about St. Louis. And Chris Bryant says St. Louis is a boring city.
World War III.
All of a sudden,
them's fighting words.
The greatest catcher of all time that apparently no one in St. Louis would trade for Mike Trout, Yadier Molina, goes right to Instagram and he gets real mad online. And talks about, what do you call him, Aldo? Stupid and
loser. No stupid player, or no, he's a stupid player and a loser.
Stupid player. Chris Bryant.
Attacks.
Former National League MVP, World Series champion, won the highest honor he can at every level he's played in. K. Fitz was his coach for one of them, for Christ's sake. Is a loser. And apparently he's stupid because he said, gee golly, St. Louis is a boring city. And that's pretty much how nasty Chris Bryant gets. And so Yachty leads the way, as he usually does. And then, of course, the best fans in baseball just pile on. And this was what, Saturday? Last Saturday, right?
Oh, the Bryant comment was Friday night, but then it went viral Saturday in the morning.
Okay.
And the Cardinals also had their fan convention that weekend.
Right. And so now it is Friday, January 25th, and we have Cardinals players still doing interviews, like visibly butthurt over another man saying their city is boring.
What else are they going to do? There's nothing else to do there except interviews.
So some guy tweeted, he quote tweeted the video, and it just says, "Boring man says boring city isn't boring." And I was like, Jesus, that's so spot on. It's not even funny. So do you guys have any thoughts about this?
Go right ahead, Kevin.
Oh, well, I mean, you're talking about a kid who was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, who played his college baseball career in San Diego, who was a 4.6 GPA valedictorian of his high school, as well as maintained, I believe, a perfect GPA at University of San Diego, who then goes to Chicago, arguably one of the top and most entertaining cities, not just in the country, but in the world. And then you're asking him about St. Louis, which, in other words, they've got a Dave & Buster's, a couple Chili's, and Applebee's. They got a cool little place called The Hill that has a decent Italian place, but pretty much all there is to do in St. Louis is to watch reruns of the 1985 Cardinals. And so basically what he said was, I mean, it's not wrong, but you got a kid that it's boring there. There's nothing to do there. A kid that doesn't drink alcohol thinks that St. Louis is boring. And so, yes, of course, St. Louis people are like, well, we got good bars here. Well, hey, guess what, bud? He doesn't drink. So that was one thing that kind of triggered him. But I actually took offense with him calling Chris stupid. That was actually the one that kind of stuck out to me, considering, only one member of the equation has had a baseball literally stuck to his chest protector.
Yes.
Like a piece of bubble gum.
But in his defense, he might
if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
He might have known who his teachers were in high school. So
the whole thing is ridiculous because, I mean, as much as we're making fun of St. Louis, like being boring, if it is or isn't, that like doesn't even matter. But like Chris Bryant, like you know how that started? They brought up when he went to the Florida Georgia Line concert, and he and Chris Bryant took a picture with Nelly because Nelly just like was there. And that's the only reason they started talking about St. Louis. And obviously they're at the Cubs convention, so he's like just gonna poke some fun at the crowd. He's just playing to the crowd. He's gonna make a couple jokes, and that's why he's like, oh yeah, I mean, because Ryan Dempster asked him, or no, he just brought up like, oh yeah, I was there with Bryce. We took a picture with Nelly. Nelly tried to put on his like best whatever for St. Louis. He's a big Cardinals fan, and he's like, but like, I mean, St. Louis is boring. Who would want to sign there? Like, like it wasn't even like a Q&A of like, hey Chris, well, what's the most boring city like in the country that you've played in?
That was like an honest question.
Yeah, it was just like a story, and he had a joke or two. And Yadier Molina took it like a few days after that, and he did like another interview, and he's like, I have to defend the city. I like told my guys that we have to defend St. Louis. Like, what are you talking about?
I am gonna say this: Yachty's not an idiot. He might act like an idiot. He knows what he's doing. And I know this, having spoken to a St. Louis Cardinal, flat out said, he's like, Yachty knows what he's doing. You know, it's hilarious. Nobody's mad. The people that are coming out are kind of like the people that like to be the mouthpiece to the Cardinals, but a majority of the team is like, what else would he say? I mean, that would make it kind of awkward here, you know, this weekend for, one of his former teammates, Chris's former teammate is a Cardinal, for God's sakes. And I think they might be at the same wedding this weekend, I think down in Florida. That would make it for awkward, but it's not. It's Yachty doing what he needs to do, which is nobody's talking about the Cardinals right now. And it's the same weekend as the Cubs convention. And what a great way to get the Cardinals as part of a conversation that they weren't even part of by throwing yourself out there and having a little fun with it. His Twitter stuff, some of the stuff he put out there was hilarious because he got pretty much crapped on for getting hit in the junk by Chris on a foul tip, which was on his tip. And it worked out really well. He was jawing back and forth. He was being silly. It was good. But obviously in St. Louis, when they're brushing their tooth, they get a little excited when someone says something terrible about their city. And so they're gonna come at, like a spider monkey, come at the guy that insulted their city. I mean, he must have said it at the exact same time they were having their meetup at the Chili's. And so
the good one. The good Chili's.
The good Chili's.
Yeah, right. At the end of the road.
So two things. One, all of a sudden, they all came out of the shacks and started tweeting about one of the St. Louis pitchers putting one in Chris Bryant's ear hole.
Ooh.
Relax with that. And two, I'm here for this. Because now the St. Louis Cubs rivalry, that first time they meet this year, all this stuff is going to resurface. And I really don't think the players give a shit. Maybe Yachty does, but like the fans are eating this up.
Well, right. Yeah. I've always kind of thought this. I mean, when you're playing, there are teams you don't like. And usually because there are a few guys you don't like. Like you might not like what they do. Like I remember one team in college, like the catcher would always chat behind the plate, and it would drive me up a wall because I knew exactly what he was doing, and it worked. It got me like so pissed that it triggered my focus a little bit. But you have these teams that get under your skin, and it kind of turns into like Boston and the Yankees. And it always kind of like, I always like wondered like, what happens when Johnny Damon goes over to the Yankees? Does he all of a sudden hate Boston? Like what if they get in a brawl? What are they gonna do? Jacoby Ellsbury, same thing. But it does kind of perpetuate itself a little bit. It does kind of like, just the history kind of gets in there. Like, I mean, we haven't seen it recently. Right. I think that it's definitely been toned down. And like Kevin said, guys play each other so often, and there's so much money in the game now that like owners don't want anybody to fight because they don't want anybody to get hurt for a stupid reason, like Hunter Strickland and Bryce Harper going at it like hardcore.
Right.
But but there is this element I wanted to ask earlier. Like, is Rob Manfred, just kind of sitting in a room, sat all these guys down and said, listen, it wouldn't be bad if we trash talk each other a little bit in the off season just to kind of keep people interested, kind of go ahead. Well, I don't mind it.
To that point, what do people always say about the NBA? It has one of the most fun Twitter areas, and it's because players talk shit to each other on Twitter. People love that shit. And so it's kind of, we're seeing it carry over to Major League Baseball a little bit. And one of the biggest misconceptions that bothers me about professional sports fandom in general is people act like these guys are all from Chicago or all from St. Louis.
Right. Like
These
they're
guys don't
local
give a shit.
loyalists.
Yeah, like you said, like they have like personal, like you don't like the guy that talked because you're a sensitive boy. And they got all this other stuff going on, like one-on-one, but no one's sitting there like, I rep Chicago. They don't give a shit. They're not from here. Right. They get paid here. They don't care.
Right.
And it's fine.
When you coach some of these high school kids, and I'm not, this isn't a knock. I guess it's just a different generation. But even at the high school level, you see it, and the college level, the game's over, and these kids are hugging each other. They play so many games together on so many different club teams and scout teams, and when you get most of these baseball players, at the professional level, have known each other at least in some way, shape, or form,
decades almost. Yeah.
And so it's more of a let's go egg it on. But I mean, even at the lower levels, you almost gotta like bullshit to get someone pissed off about their opponent and like write something in the dirt that they must have written that because they get pissed, because nobody is out. There's none of that rivalry doesn't really exist because they play so many damn games in the first place.
Right. And there are typically the only thing that gets someone triggered is pimping a home run too long, doing something crappy. Yeah, right. Well, drawing a line, where the ball was, getting chucked from a game. That's the kind of shit that gets people up and angry. At least players, and it's still, I think it takes a long time. Occasionally you get these, relievers are kind of notorious for it because they're the ones that have to kind of dole out the punishment. Yeah. Well, no, but the relievers know it because they a reliever knows that they're expendable every season, that there's this churn and they all kind of move around and they're all fighting for a job all the time. They're failed starters. They can't control their stuff. So they're relegated to the bullpen. You got to fight, fighting for their lives. And then they know that they might get in 60 games a year and they're going to be brought in this one game to drill a guy and then get chucked from the game. That was their whole purpose for coming into a game. And it doesn't happen as much anymore, but you do get these kind of hotheads. Who was it? I think it was Joe Kelly with Manny Machado a few years ago, where they just kept going after Manny and hard and in dangerous places. And, we saw that controversy with, what's his name? Pedroia saying, because Manny took Pedroia out. Pedroia was like, it's not me, it's them. So you do get these people that just kind of watch the game. The relievers that just kind of sit back and watch the game and kind of take a different spin on it, and then they come in and they want to get all hot and bothered about stuff. But
time out. We have a mystery team alert.
No.
Mystery team alert. Our boy. Oh man,
is it Bob or Bruce?
No, it's Hector.
Oh, Hector, baby. Hector's had a rough week.
Well, this is the perfect segue. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's bringing the Padres back in to be in the mystery team that Manny's dad is talking about.
Manny's
a strange dad.
I believe so much in Hector, and now he's just repeating what other people are saying.
We were all rooting for Hector. He was
repeating the bullshit Pirates mystery team. John Heyman tweeted about the Pirates or about the Padres 2 days ago. So now he's just repeating that. Oh, Hector.
He's just flying too close to the sun.
Yep. So yeah, that is a good. Well, before we get into that, we do actually have baseball moves being made.
Finally did something.
Yeah, the Cubs. Aldo and Kevin, you guys have been talking this whole offseason that the bullpen needs to be the biggest thing that needs to be addressed for the Cubs. And they went out and they signed Brad Brach.
Or Brach.
Brock.
Brock?
I like Brach.
You better get this down before tomorrow.
Why? Brad's not going to be there? Fuck Brad. Anyways, I'll go on MLB.com because they have been on fire with these nicknames. Brad's nickname is B-Rad.
All right.
So let's go, B-Rad.
I thought you were going to say B-Rag.
Nope. So B-Rad comes in with a career ERA of 3.08 and a career whip of 1.27. Whip. 31 and 23 overall record, even though wins for pitchers is a useless stat. And what do you guys think about the bullpen addition? I mean, it's solid. It's not going to
It's a solid signing. I mean, we've all seen what Pedro Strop has done since he got traded to the Cubs, and B-Rad basically has he has pretty similar numbers from 2014 to 2018. So, I mean, it's a 1-year deal. There's an option. My voice just cracked there. There's an option for 2020, but it's going to be like at worst a 2-year deal worth like $9 million. So whatever. He's a slightly worse Pedro Strop. Like, it's a solid signing. It's not exciting, but the Cubs needed another reliever and they got one. So
isn't his main pitch changeup?
I think it's
Like
changeup. A slider. He got better. He really sucked last year before he got traded to the Braves. But then he started to throw harder, and he dominated with Braves. He had like a 1.52 ERA or something. So
yeah, he was just under 5 with the ERA with Baltimore before he got shipped down to Atlanta. Better team, better feeling, National League, and 1.52 with a solid 1.31 WHIP. So, I mean,
he was an all-star in 2016.
Right.
Yeah. He's old though.
He's going to be 33, I think, in April. I mean, it's fine. I've said like it's the Cubs' weakness is the bullpen, but I mean, bullpens are just so volatile from year to year. You can have guys just pop out of nowhere, or you can have guys who've been like good for a couple of years and just all of a sudden suck. So you just mix and match. You get as many like quality arms that you can, and you hope you get a solid group by the end of the year.
On a very serious note, if you're over 30, you can't call yourself B-Rad.
Hey, do you want to hear something here? All right, so let's get into some advanced analytics here.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, this isn't too advanced, but according to Baseball Reference, we're talking about FIP. You guys have heard that, fielding independent of pitching. It's supposed to be the absolute value of the pitcher, because the defense can bail out and also hurt the pitcher too.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. I had no idea what you were talking about, so thank you for explaining that.
This is for our fans, not for you, Big J Journo.
I don't know.
You know this.
Sorry, I'm not up on my FIP.
So here's
FIP
something
you.
concerning. Yeah, FIP me. Do you want the technical? Do you want me to read this to you?
No, you're explaining it well. I get it now.
So they're preventing home runs. FIP will be, this is the stat that measures pitchers' effectiveness at preventing home runs, walks, hit by pitches, and causing strikeouts.
Yes.
Fielding indifferent.
All right. The FIP, Brach's FIP is 3.2. And his ERA, well, just with Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Just with Atlanta, his FIP was 3.12, and his ERA was 1.5. Meaning, do you follow me here?
And I mean, his whip was 1.31. That means he was walking guys.
Walking. Oh yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. The whip.
Walking. Knew it.
Well, no, yeah, he gives up. What is it? His strikeout to walk ratio is 2.4, and he averages almost 3.5 walks per game. But that is double what his ERA is. So that's saying the defense bailed him out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely
something else happened. Right.
He sucks against left-handed hitters. So just you got to play those matchups, and he's definitely a guy who's pitched a lot, or his numbers are better than what he's actually pitched.
To that point, he's got a great defensive team behind him now in the Cubs.
It's true.
Well, hopefully, because they've been kind of...
Interestingly enough, too, actually, it's funny that you mentioned Strop earlier. He actually, the similarity score through Baseball Reference has the number 1 pitcher that he is similar to, Pedro Strop.
Oh, wow.
I am a genius. Number 10, Rob Dibble, but okay. I mean,
I am a genius.
Can't get enough Rob Gribble talk on this podcast.
I mean, I tweeted out their numbers for the past 5 years. Their numbers are, I mean, Strop has better numbers, 2.61 ERA. Brach has 2.89. The FIP, 3.10 for Strop, 3.48 for Brach. I mean, the strikeout and the walks are basically the same. The strikeouts, Strop strikes out like 3% higher, but they're almost – the Cubs got a slightly worse Pedro Strop. So
the real question is, though, does he wear his hat straight
or to the left? Because
true.
Wait a minute. What was the major gaffe at the end of the year with Strop where he got hurt? Was it like
pitch hitting?
Let him go up and hit?
No, he kept no one up on their bench, and then Madden let him hit with the bases loaded, and he hit into a double play. And
whatever.
Or his hamstring.
It's a reliever. So I think, You roll the dice with relievers.
Worst case, it buys time for Morrow to get healthy. I mean,
Yeah, you get another arm because Strop
can't have enough-
might be back for April. Who knows?
You can't have enough like solid or decent arms in your bullpen. Like there's always guys going to be hurt. Guys going to go through funks. Just you got to load up and pray for the best.
I still like Carl Edwards Jr.
He's not going to have as terrible a season as he had last year.
I don't think it's possible.
I love everything about watching him pitch, movement, what his potential is, ceiling for what he can manipulate on those pitches. You never know if it's going to be over the plate or not.
He just lost confidence because even when he was really, really good in 2017 and when he came up in 2016, like he still had that wildly effective,
like crazy arm action in the back.
But like last year at the end of the year, he just couldn't find the play. He lost all confidence and he had an injury in the middle of the year, and I guess he had something in his forearm at the end. So maybe that's what contributed to it. But
maybe throwing too many sliders.
You can't really hide as a reliever, and if you have a bad outing, you're chasing the dragon for months, just trying to get your ERA down to respectability if you give it up. So I mean,
we're just trying to get back in the game.
Still young. Yep. So his stuff, he's got stuff. It's commanded. Maybe this could be that breaker, that linchpin season for him where he really does figure it out. Because there's again, a lot of baseball dudes love the stuff. It's the command and the volatility of you can't be a great reliever if you're walking dudes because you're putting yourself in a bad position. So
yeah, always.
So let's talk prospects. End of January. Let's talk prospects.
Nico Horner.
As you heard earlier in the TickBlitz.com stat of the week, Baseball Prospectus gave 4 out of the top 26 are White Sox players, 6 out of the top 76 are White Sox players, and then MLB.com releases their top 100 tomorrow on Saturday. But they did break down each position and gave top 10 by position. So if we start in the outfield here, number 1 is soon to be best friend of Zoe's, Eloy Jimenez. And it's just great because they break it down and top best hitter, Jimenez. Best power, Jimenez. Fastest runner, not Jimenez. Best arm, he had that one. Yeah, he's not in the best arm or best defender. Highest ceiling, Jimenez. Highest floor, Jimenez. Rookie of the Year candidate, Eloy. So, I mean, most to prove, Lubob. Because Lubob is number 10.
Oh, yeah.
He is number 10 on this list of the top 10.
He's getting injured.
Yeah, well, and it's all like little bullshit injuries too, which is fine. I don't want it to be a major injury, but it's just like
you want his hoof hanging off, right?
Right. It's like, come on, dude, just keep it
like a couple weeks at a time, and he gets back, and it's like another 3 weeks,
and then he like chips a bone in his wrist, or like it's like, come on, man, like it seems like he's just got like bad.
He's growing into his body.
He looks. Have you seen him on Instagram lately? Yeah, boy, looks swole as bug. Like he is getting big. And
I hope you say that tomorrow.
I will to his face.
I hope when you're talking to Rick Hahn tomorrow, just before you shove the microphone in his face, have you seen Lubob? He is swole as fuck. Just comment.
Zoe, we got to get to your boy though, because Baseball Prospectus, their top 100, they have your boy Madrigal 15th.
Yeah, in the top 100, and then in the second, and MLB.com's top second baseman prospects, he's number 3.
That's a lot of love for a guy who had like a 600 OPS in single A.
Number 3, buddy. And so his scouting grade,
Gold Glove caliber.
Yes, scouting
grade.
They're
not saying Silver Slugger.
No, they're saying his scouting grades are hit. He's at a 65, power's 40, run is 60, arm is 50, field is 60. Overall, he's a 55 on the scout scale.
That's your that's
yes.
It's like an average major leaguer, a little bit above average.
A little bit above average, but they keep saying these 2 magical words, and it's Gold Glove, and I'm loving all of it. Let's go. I don't know, people.
Are you a defense wins championships guy?
It says it in my Twitter bio, Dick.
Especially in sabermetric land that we live in, where it's all about launch angle and lift.
For me, this guy looks like a solid table setter, second baseman
No, he's your number like 9 hitter. He's not a table setter because he's glove first. He hasn't shown that.
What was his run? His run was 60.
Yeah, his run was 60.
Yeah, that's like average.
He's the bottom of the order guy, and you hope he plays Gold Glove defense.
He's got, you know what? Yeah, I mean, with his contact ability, probably 2 hitter, which doesn't. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but he's not a 9.
The ceiling is you have a contact guy who makes enough contact.
And power is always the last tool to develop. Right. So
that's not.
But I mean, still, you're only working with a 5'8" frame, and it's tough to generate serious power from that.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're
Altuve. Yeah, exactly.
He hit 341 in Kannapolis, though.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, he's a hitter.
Yeah.
He's a hitter and he's a fielder, which makes him a baseball player.
That's why everybody comes here.
Did I just say that out loud?
Those are
analysis.
They come back for the
hard hitting. That's big J Journo stuff you just came up there with.
I actually wrote that down.
He's a hitter, he's a fielder.
So make sure you cite that tomorrow at the convention.
I wrote that down. I'm gonna find Nick and be like, "Sup, dude?
Our White Sox insider thinks you're a hitter and a fielder.
Which makes you a baseball player.
Do you have any comments about that? And then shove the phone in his face.
Yep.
No.
Punched.
No, we knew. I mean, all the scouting reports said that he was super contact guy, no strikeouts. Power was lacking, but an above average elite. I wouldn't say elite. I think I even saw somebody say like get away from that term as far as second baseman right now.
Right.
But again, this kid hasn't even had a full season of professional baseball.
And he's going to start in Kannapolis. And do you think he starts in Kannapolis?
No, I think he starts in Winston-Salem.
Yeah, he's going to start in Winston-Salem. You're right.
That's the first time I've ever heard you say that.
Yeah, you should record that.
No, but
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that some people, everybody already, on Twitter is always like trying to put him in the big leagues this year. Does he have a shot?
No,
I mean, that's just you. No, I mean, there's virtually no.
No, I know.
Unless people get hurt and they're in like a playoff, like they're running away and gonna be in the playoffs and all that, and maybe, but I doubt it. I figure AA, if he makes it up halfway in the season to AA, maybe gets a taste of AAA, and then he's gonna probably have maybe a full season in AAA or AA, AAA. So he's probably, earliest 2020, but he's got a rake, he's got to play. A lot of things have to happen on the big league roster. And one thing I wanted to talk about real quick, and I know we have a lot to talk about with the prospects, but I think the White Sox are bucking the trend, and I want to say ahead of the trend here on the whole. What's that?
With regards to what?
How they're building their roster.
Okay.
They're getting back to fundamentally flexible, diverse players, guys that aren't one-dimensional. They're dynamic. They can run, they can hit for power.
Can they field?
A guy like Moncada. Yeah. Well, that's important to be a baseball player.
Yeah.
But they're
Can they bunt?
Yeah, I know. I am a fan of bunting. I like my bunts.
We don't bunt.
I'm all about the small ball. All about small ball. They're built for speed. They've got speed guys up and down. Well, not up and down. They've got a lot of speed guys on their roster. If you take out Angle, they have less speed guys.
Polka, Alonso, Abreu, Castillo.
Not anymore. Well, all right.
Hey, look out the window, kids. There it goes.
I was looking at Tim Anderson, Yon Moncada,
Madrigal. No, it's the young guys, though. You're right. It's the young guys who have the speed.
Sanchez. They're not burners, but
they got Lubob at a 65 speed.
Lubob. Yeah. So when these guys get up there, I feel like, and they have to put pressure. I don't know. I'm getting off topic.
Yes,
maybe they're not as built for speed as I thought, but I think they have guys that can do different things. The one guy that's not doing anything differently than swinging from his rear end is Daniel Polka. Polka don't bunt. Don't ever ask that guy to bunt.
That's why he's a stud. But not to just stay Sox heavy. If you go to the top 10 catchers, number 7, you have Miguel Amaya from the Cubs. So that's recently.
That's something.
Yeah, we haven't been seeing too many Cubs players on any of these lists. So, I mean, it's nice to see.
I think at the end of, or I think like the midpoint last year, Amaya was in the top 100 list, but then he really struggled in the second half. It was his first full year playing pro ball, so he kind of got tired. But he'll probably be there at the end of this year. They have their first round pick, Nico Horner, who like all the scouts raved about during the Arizona Fall League. He'll probably be like in the top 100 at the end of the year. I mean, the Cubs have a couple guys. They still have Alzolay, that their starting pitcher who got hurt and missed basically all of 2018. I mean, he's still they're basically their best pitching prospect right now, who's hopefully going to be maybe a reliever for them this year at some point. So they have a couple young guys who are on the fringe of being considered a top 100 prospect.
I mean, wouldn't they use those guys as currency to trade? Especially with the way their roster is built right now.
Maybe.
I mean, like, maybe if they want like a guy like Joe Smith, who I think is hurt right now, but like just for hypothetical sake, like a reliever like that's legit.
That's a pretty valid question because the Cubs are in a position to win now. That's their top prospect. Like,
if it would be like the thing is, like if they would trade for it would have to be like a top reliever.
Right.
But even before that would happen, I think they'd still go to their depth at AAA. So they'd go to Alzolay, and then they still have a couple other guys who aren't considered like top prospects, but they've been really good in the Cub system. Like there's Dakota Meeks. There's still Dylan Maples hanging around, even though he just walks everyone. And
no,
I don't know why people still like him, but he's just not.
Honest question.
Because hitters are 162 against him, even though he does walk a lot.
He's Tyler Chatwood, but in the bullpen.
I don't want to like. I know how this is going to sound, and I'm not being a dick. I'm prefacing this. Do you think the Cubs are a little less quick to pull the trigger on trading prospects after the Quintana deal?
No, that's the deal. That's a deal that they thought they were going to get like a number 2 starter because that's what Quintana was during his entire career with the White Sox, like his numbers. And he just hasn't. You can't judge. I mean, it's pretty easy to judge trades and every move that you make on the results, but it's what happened at the time. Did they overpay for Quintana? Probably, but they
probably had to. Yeah,
they probably had to. They needed someone. It was either going to be him or Verlander, and
Verlander was going to be more expensive.
Right.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it sucked that it hasn't worked out. Quintana's been like a number 4 starting pitcher than the number 2 that they thought they were going to get.
And let's face it. Eloy was only starting to become what he has become,
and he got
at
hurt.
The point of that trade.
Eloy had like 1 year at Pro Bowl, so like one and a half before he got traded.
And the only thing he did that was notable prior to joining the White Sox was in a home run derby bust a light tower power.
Yep.
I think the year before he was in the Prospects All-Star game, and like that's when he got like he was considered what was it, like top 15 prospect. But it was like a year and a half of him. He was like 19 years old.
And Cease too, right?
And Cease, which is...
And he had arm surgery already.
Yeah, he had the Tommy John. And at that point, I think the Cubs were just like, well, maybe he'll be a reliever. They weren't like saying like, oh, this guy's going to be like a starting pitcher down the road. They were like, maybe
let's still put this in context of Eloy Jimenez has not seen one major league at bat. Let's talk about what the Boston Red Sox gave up for Chris Sale and what Yon Moncada was supposed to be and hopefully still becomes.
I was gonna say there's meat on that bone, dude. Don't be right.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, Michael Kopech, look at what they gave up for Sale. So, who
was the third piece of that trade?
There were of which one?
Of the Sale trade. Was that
it was
Basabe?
Michael Kopech? No, Basabe was from Washington. It was Victor Diaz, I think.
No, there's one other guy who's
there were
better
4,
than they
I
thought.
think.
Yeah. Shit. Hold on.
Well, all right. Well, you look it up.
We're all about facts here.
I'll ask you guys this, all 3 of you. What's more important for, I guess, like Sox fans' perspective and like their confidence? Their confidence in the team. It was Basabe?
Yep.
All right. So what's more important for like the confidence in the rebuild? Moncada having a better year or Eloy having a better year in
It's got to be
2019?
Moncada. It's got to be Moncada.
Because Eloy, you could say growing pains and experience. Moncada, that excuse is gone. I need him to take the lead this year.
Can we also remind ourselves, last year was his first full year.
Right.
First full year. Kid's 24 now.
Yep.
I think.
So we were both right for the record. Victor Diaz and Basabe were part of the deal. Yes.
I could have swore maybe his brother's with Washington. Basabe, his twin brother. Or maybe they're both. I don't know. Whatever.
One thing I want to make, because we're talking about prospects and everything, and we're reading off these grades, and we got to remember that some people that listen to this might not be as psycho as we are. It is on an 80 scale. So when you hear someone's at like a 65, that's not bad at all. Like that's above average. So like here's what to base it on. So Vlad Glad Jr. is the best prospect in baseball. Kid is a stud. His grades right now is his hit is an 80, his power is a 70, his run is a 45, his arm is a 60, his field is a 45, and his overall is 70. So that's your best prospect in baseball.
And that's elite. That's a high grade.
That is a very high grade. And a lot of people question if he's going to make it his whole career as a third baseman with the field at 45. But that's a problem I would love to have. Because that dude is going to absolutely rake in Major League Baseball. And his dad is one of my top 3 favorite players of all time. So I'm going to be shady rooting for this kid his whole career.
And he's a Toronto guy, too. He's up in Canada where his dad's like a demigod.
Yep.
Hey, Zoe, who's the number 2 ranked prospect right now?
No.
James Shields.
37-year-old James Shields is a prospect.
Yep. It's impressive. So it's Fernando Tatis Jr. All right. So yes, the Sox blew it. I knew that's actually fair. That's fair though, because I brought up the Quintana trade. So that's fair. So they traded Fernando Tatis Jr. for James Shields because they, for some reason, thought they were competing that year. And Tatis blown up. He's blown up. I'm not going to argue the kid's a fucking stud. He's a 70 overall too. The kid's good. And we wouldn't even be talking about Manny right now if we still had this kid. Well, maybe. Yeah, we probably still would be because I'd love to have Manny at third and this kid at short. Sorry, TA. But it's just,
they can play second.
They blew that one, but
I don't know. But I mean, like, I still feel. I mean, like, I don't want to relitigate this, especially like post mortem like this. But especially with Fernando Tatis, if any of these trades where you're dealing with prospects, number one, again, they still have not seen one pitch in Major League Baseball, which is very different. And at the time of the trade, it was what you thought you needed and what you could afford. I mean, was Tatis the number 2 prospect at that point? No.
I didn't think it was a top 100 prospect.
Yeah. So sometimes these things happen.
Right.
Where these guys just come out of nowhere, they find their stroke. I mean, you can go up and down the White Sox minor league system now and find at least 3 or 4 people. You could probably say like Micker Adolfo. You know, people are like super high on him right now. Where he was he was heralded, but he was not on the like top 5 in baseball level, and he's still not top 5 level in baseball. But that's a guy that kind of had up and downs in his minor league career. And then you also have Sebi Savala,
right?
Where like the fans love to put him out there. Like, is he going to be in the major leagues? Maybe. And is he going to do what he did in the major leagues? What he did in AAA last year? I don't know. Probably not. Right. If he does, it's fantastic. If he turns out to be James McCann,
right?
I'm kidding.
I know you are. But for those of you scoring at home too, Eloy is a 70 overall.
Decent.
So
what's his best tool? What do they grade out as his best tool? Power.
We got power. Hit 65, power 70, run 40, arm 50, field 45, overall 70.
To give you like an understanding of that, like too, Chris was a 45 on hitting. KB was a 45 on hitting, a 70 on power, 50 on plate discipline, 45 speed, 45 defense, 60 arm.
What was he overall?
And he was total 70?
Total was he? I don't have the total. His power was 70.
Was that in high school?
That was coming out of USD.
Okay.
Says as a 21-year-old.
So, I mean, as anything, when you're grading someone, like you said, that hasn't taken a pitch in the major leagues yet, you got to take it with some caution. But it is always encouraging to see the Sox top prospect grade out at 70.
Of course.
By the way, I brought up the Eloy and Moncada and like who would be better, or like for fans, how like what's more important. I only brought up Eloy because we've seen, Tim Anderson, he got off to a like average start, and he had his struggles. Moncada, his struggles. You've had the pitcher like Giolito hasn't.
Lopez, Rodon.
Rodon's been injured, so I'm saying like you have all these prospects come up, and you've had the rebuilds. Like, what if Eloy? Fulmer's been a disaster. What if like Eloy gets podcast? What if Eloy like gets? I don't think he will be. But like, what if he gets off to another rough start? It's like, hey, like why are all these guys like starting off slow here? Like it's gonna be.
See, I don't think. Go ahead.
Or what if all those guys figure it out at the same time?
Well, that's what I wonder it could be. Yeah, and that is a very valid point, because I think a lot of White Sox fans feel the way, have a nervousness, like an anxiety about it that you just said, Aldo, where it's like, don't fuck him up. Don't fuck him up. Please don't fuck him up. It's like, why can't we have nice things? Like Rick Hahn says, we can have nice things.
Right. Well, go get me Manny then.
But if they're all doing this at the same time, I think that's going to be important. I mean, Moncada was that number one. The guy struggled with, he still struggles with a language barrier, and they toss him into the third biggest U.S. city with the biggest like weather swings. That is not like Cuba. Even if you got Elefante there, Pito, that's tough. And like to have the city like just like surround you like that, or at least the South Side, because I know the Cubs, whatever. That's a lot of pressure. I'm sure he felt that, and now that they have that full year under their belts, like it can't get much worse for Moncada. So he's got to like be excited for this season. Like, yes, this is where I get to like turn it loose and have some fun. Giolito's had a rough year. Lopez has had a rough year. Rodon's finally figuring out. You throw up Eloy in there, and he's seen them kind of struggle a little bit. He's got to feel some comfort in knowing that he raked down there in AAA. He's probably going to hit some bumps, but these other guys have gone through it, and they're still going through it. So let's all come up together. I don't know. That's what you ideally say. That's what like you hope happens, but does it happen? These things are funny. I mean, baseball's a psychological game, and that's so much of it.
One last thing before we kind of move on here.
You're always trying to move on.
That's what I got to do. Otherwise, we're going to talk. We'd still be talking about boring St. Louis if I didn't do that.
But that'd be exciting.
It's boring.
One of the things that people need to keep in the back of their mind too is the White Sox have the third pick in the upcoming draft, and there is some players in this draft. Like, I know the White Sox don't like drafting out of high school, but this Bobby Witt Jr. kid, he's looking real nice. But they have some players at crucial positions for the White Sox. The top rated right now prospect in this draft is Madrigal's former teammate. I'm going to butcher this kid's name.
Oh, let's get ready.
Adley Rushman. Okay. Yeah, that was close.
All right.
I'll take it.
But he's a catcher from Oregon State. Right now, he's great. He has a 60 grade overall, but I mean, he's got a 60 arm, 55 power, 60 hit. But he's the consensus number one. There's a lot of things would have to happen for him to still be on the board.
The season hasn't even yeah. This is like, hey, I get what you're doing.
Right. But there's sitting around that third pick should be a first baseman from the University of California, Andrew Vaughn. And Jose's not going to be here forever. I know there's a lot of guys that they can move to first base. People are already talking about eventually moving Eloy to first base, Polka to first base. We got first baseman up the ass. But this kid,
we do have first baseman up the ass.
Yep. And then the other kid I like though is Josh Young, third baseman from Texas Tech with a 55 overall grade. But all I'm getting to here is
where are you?
I'm gonna.
Can you please explain more than like you like him? Like, why do you?
What do you like about him, Zoe?
you like him?
Give us a scouting report.
What was great,
Do you have
sir?
video? Do you like his swing? Do you like his hand load?
55 hit, 55 power, so the kid can hit. He's slow.
You're counting on scouts.
He has a subtle. Yeah, how many Texas Tech games have you watched this year? Yes, I'm depending on
dick.
scouts.
I'm gonna go homer on you too. Don't write off a kid named Bryson Stott. Left-handed bat, shortstop, can play the whole left side. So, and he is a.
Oh, okay. So that's a little home cooking for you.
Cooking. Oh yeah, he's UNLV. He's going to be a junior. Coached against him all through high school too. The kid is a great kid, strong mental build, good family. He's going to probably fall in the middle of the first round. But if he were to fall any deeper, which you never know, but I think he might actually creep up. He's primed to have a very big season this year. He might actually jump up this scale because he's hits from the left side, but he's
prospect with helium.
Here's my 2 cents. I know nothing about like draft picks, but don't draft a first baseman because you can just find those anytime.
You can find them anywhere.
Don't draft.
No, not
first
athletes.
baseman.
Exactly. No, you do not draft first baseman.
So
Kevin, did that kid play for Team USA last year?
Yes, he did.
You know?
He did.
Because you can practically just like look at the Team USA roster and pretty much they'll dot the first round. That's kind of like their like litmus test is that you move through there. You have a good junior season, you're going to be in the first round somewhere.
Yeah, and he kicked ass in the Northwoods and the Cape too. I mean, he's not.
And the Cape.
Yeah.
MLB.com has his major league comparison as Brandon Crawford.
Decent. Great defensive shortstop.
Yep. So just want to put, I guess my point there was the White Sox probably have another top prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Coming, yeah.
Like
they have a first round pick every year.
And an early one at that.
Mike Trout was the 20th pick. Do I have to keep reminding you that?
Round. Cool story, dude. I get it.
I love it. You better have your piss and vinegar all charged tomorrow.
I'm gonna call you before I go there because you get me fired up every fucking time. Holy shit!
Walk in there strutting, get your credential.
You are a soggy blanket. Whoa.
Ask Rick Hahn about Trout.
Trout was drafted. No shit, dude. But they have the 3rd overall pick. Come on, man.
Can't wait till tomorrow when one of the White Sox PR say, "Okay, Rick Hahn's open for questions," and Zoe jumps up. Will you go after Mike Trout when he's a free agent?
Yeah, I don't want to ask about Manny, so I'll just be like, "Sup with Trout? Sup? I'll just say sup all the time. Sup."
I can't wait to hear his response. You better videotape that.
We get Nolan or what, dude? Sup,
dude?
What are we doing here?
I feel like you could definitely talk to Polka tomorrow that way if you wanted to.
I'm convinced I'm having a Busch Light with Polka. I'm putting Busch Light Tall Boys in my book bag.
Make sure you take a selfie and send it to Mr. Delicious.
Yes. So the other big rumor going around that seems to be picking up steam because the Dodgers, they signed your center fielder. They signed AJ. So, but with them signing AJ, apparently that means they're out on Bryce Harper and now they're trading Jacques Peterson. Weird how those dominoes fell. But the biggest name for Jacques, whose apparently nickname is King.
Oh,
where do they get these things from?
Man.
B-Rad King.
B-Rad and King, but
that's like an R. Kelly kind of moniker.
Let's not go with R. Kelly.
Let's not go there. Okay, we'll stay away from the R. Kelly, Daddy.
We don't claim R. Kelly anymore. So Jacques, but so that's the rumor though is that he's coming to the White Sox.
Is it the rumor or is it?
They're engaged on it, right?
Yeah, they're engaged in talks. The name that's being thrown around is that prospect Bush. Solid name.
Bryce Bush.
Yes. Never heard of her.
But I don't know. Some people, you're seeing a lot of mixed reactions about young Jock here. Shout out to the 108 guys for making fun of the 6'1", 220 frame. A lot of good-looking guys are 6'1", 220. Just put that out there. He's only 26 years old. But obviously, he's fallen off a little bit in these last couple seasons from, the big year he had in 2016. But 2018, he still hit 248. 25 homers. I think you put him in a different park. I don't know. Statistically, he'd be the best White Sox outfielder last year, which I get, tallest midget type thing, but it's an upgrade. That's how I see it.
You were kind of down on Jock. Why?
I am. I just think he's got a lot of swing and miss in his swing. I know people have thrown out that, a 19% strikeout rate last year would be best on the White Sox. I know. We already kind of talked about that being, the tallest midget. I don't know. He looking at his stats, he's done a good job of correcting that issue with the swing and miss. But I don't know. I don't know. He is playing more. In 2015, when he was an all-star and possible rookie of the year, got rookie of the year votes, he struck out 170 times. That he struck out 130 in 2016. In a slightly shortened 2017, he only struck out 39 times. And last year, he only struck out 68 times. I'm sorry. And then this year, in about 148 games, he struck out 85. And he hit 250, which is right about his highest. Actually, it is his career high, 248. On base percentage has been fairly consistent. His OPS was very good last year at 843. I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with bringing him, and especially if Bryce Bush is the centerpiece on it. Definitely. Let him go.
I just looked at his home and away splits, and, everyone's saying, oh, well, he'll definitely do better away from Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
He's played six. Let's see. This is weird. I mean, his numbers are better away from Dodger Stadium. His batting average goes up. Yeah, his batting average goes up 30 points. His on base goes up 40 points. But his slugging is about the same. He has 47 home runs at home during his career and only 40 away. And that's 6 more games away from LA. So it's not like he's it's not like
we're looking the world up.
Yeah, it's not like we're doing Coors Field numbers. We're like, oh, well, he totally dominates away or whatever. It's like,
right.
But it's still, I mean,
he's a decent fielder.
If he's gonna take over Adam Engel, go right ahead.
No,
he's a lot better.
I mean, this is all you have to see, and he gets crushed by left-handed pitching.
Yeah, that's not good. These splits,
181.
Yeah,
I mean, he's only and you can see how he was platooned after his first 2 years.
Sounds like Schwarber
away from a regular player. I mean, literally 1/5.
How's John Jay versus lefties?
Who?
John Jay.
I don't know. Probably not that great.
I'm just saying, this is platoon we're looking at. So.
All right, so you got John Jay. John Jay's a lefty, correct?
Yeah.
Yonder Alonso is a lefty, correct?
Yeah, but Yonder's not going to be in the outfield.
No, right. But we're talking about platoon, people who will platoon in either a DH role or play periodically, right?
John Jay hit 207 versus lefties last year.
All right. That's better than 181. Not much better. Again, the taller midget. But, I mean, Jock Peterson has received 1/5 of the plate appearances versus left-handers in his entire career now. People will say, well, that's, less, chances, whatever. But if I think if we broke it out by season, you'd look and you'd see a real taper off, especially last year. And he's only hitting 239 against right-handed pitchers. I think he's okay. He's okay.
He's boomer bust.
My Dodger fan friend said it perfectly. He's a good Dodger who comes cheap, but he's not gonna. He's more of a. It seems like a bit player kind of guy, which right now in the Sox's situation, perhaps a bit player is actually someone that they need with some winning experience, coming from a good franchise that actually does know what it's like to win almost 100 games, not lose them, and so you have that kind of that kind of mentality too.
And he's only 2 years. You have him for 2 more years, and he's arbitration eligible for those until 2021 when he's a free agent. And I mean, what do they get? A 2-year deal? Was it a 1-year deal for John Jay?
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year. Alonso's locked up for at least this year with a club option, I think, for the following year. Who was there was somebody else? Did he get James? And then James McCann on a 2-year deal, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh no, they didn't go along with everyone. One, because there's going to be a strike in 3 years, and
true. And there's also, and all these prospects are going to come up. So I guess to answer your question the shortest way possible, does Jock move the needle for me? Nah. Does he make us better? Yeah.
Let's put it this
he's better than Adam Engel. He's better than Nicky Delmonico, I guess. But now you've crushed your lineup with a ton of lefties that are, you don't want to be everyday players. Like, you can't fit Yonder Alonso, John Jay, and Jock Peterson in there every day, can you? With Jose Abreu?
No.
I'll put it this way. Like, let's say if the White Sox do get Peterson, I put it at, would you rather see the White Sox give him a shot and see what he does in 2019, or have, well, I mean, he's not going to be back because he already signed with the Rays, or just go out with Avisail Garcia again? Like, no. that would be the basically 1-for-1. It wouldn't be so much Engel, because Engel's still like your backup guy. Right, like, he'll be on the roster, but it's not like you're not counting on him to start like the majority of games.
Give me 26-year-old Jock. I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, he has this year, and then he has next year, his last year of arbitration, and then
what I'm saying though is, you go out, you get Jock. Let's say everything falls into place. You get Manny. Maybe you add another relief pitcher. Eloy comes up. We're hoping Machado.
Mancada.
There's too many Mons, dude. Mancada gets where he needs to be in. I'm not saying they'd win the division, because I don't think they would, even with that team. But in an AL Central that sees Detroit and Kansas City as complete tire fires, you have Cleveland, who looks to be sellers right now.
They're not that bad, though.
They just
I know Cleveland's not bad, but I'm just saying, if they end up selling what they say they're going to, it's not completely out of. I don't think they're going to win the division. I'm saying this again. I don't think the Sox would win, but this is the time. Like, this is a good time to be making moves like this.
If they made a move, competitive.
Right. If they made a move for Jock, I think they're more competitive. So maybe it does technically move the needle a little bit.
Is that all you can ask for from your team?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the price. I mean, then you start getting into roster crunch issues, which I know roster crunch with the White Sox is like what are we even talking about, right?
Not too worried.
I mean, we have plenty of places that, right. I mean, Nicky Delmonico, sorry, you weren't as good as you were the year before. You made some blunders out in left field, and Jock Peterson's a little bit better. Adam Engel, but these are guys that are just going to come into spring training and literally, if you hit 3 bills, probably be on the team. If you hit 250, probably not. Do you make the trade for Jock Peterson before Manny Machado or Bryce Harper makes a decision? Because then you've added $4 million, probably $4.5 million to your payroll. I think Jock makes $5 million this year. I think that's what he's getting. Mm-hmm. Which, again, I mean, these are pennies. Yeah, $5 million. Pennies for these guys, in their really low payroll. But I mean, these things got to factor in, especially when you're possibly, like, if you're getting Bryce Harper, does Jock Peterson help you? Yeah, because you have Bryce Harper, but at the same time, you're adding a guy that's probably going to be making 30, average annual value will hit to your payroll is $35 million at least. So, I don't know. I mean, then it hamstrings you to go out. Do you need more relief pitching? I don't know. You might. You can always use relief pitching.
I mean, they got some guys coming up, but you can, like we said earlier with the Cubs, you never have enough arms.
If it's a straight up trade for Bryce Bush, which I know a lot of people are in love with Bryce Bush right now in the minor league system.
I'll tell you what, I'll throw in a Carson Fulmer.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. Take him.
Yep. Dylan Covey, all those guys.
Dylan Covey, take him too.
Boom. Yeah. Slap the hood on this thing.
And you know what? I hope they become all-stars over there. I don't care. They're not working out here.
For real, the rumors have Fulmer involved too.
Really?
Yes. Fulmer and Bush. Let's go. If Fulmer and Bush give me Jock Peterson, I made that trade yesterday.
I'll make that trade too.
I have bad news, guys. If Fulmer is being rumored, I don't believe this deal at all now. So.
I kind of agree with you, Aldo, because I just don't see anybody giving anything up for him.
I don't know.
I kind of think it's like, I don't know. I have a feeling that a lot of this talk is probably held up by what the big free agents are doing. and what the front offices might believe they can pull off with those guys, just because, you know, the numbers have to add up too. But I am also suspicious of any team that wants or is willing to take Carson Fulmer.
Yep.
I've just seen him totally implode. He's one of those guys that just, whether it's mental, like he either might have to go to Japan or he's going to have to still toil in a minor league system somewhere for a few years. He's going to have to show at least a year of quality relief stuff to me and the scouts.
And it's hard too because he's notorious for having a terrible first inning. So it's not even like you can make him a setup man or a closer, because that first inning is all you got. And he comes out and walks everyone or throws meatballs because he gets nervous about the walks. So we're coming up to the hour here. As has been tweeted out, I will be at SoxFest tonight, Friday night, with credentials. As Nuke said, throwing my phone into people's faces, I guess, taking pictures, videos, and stuff like that. Make sure you're following us at Pinwheels Ivy Pod. We'll be, and myself at Southside Zone. All of our handles are in the bio. I'll be tweeting it all out. Hopefully they got good internet.
Do you think they announce Manny during SoxFest?
If they do, I will be the happy. That will be like the best thing ever.
The one thing,
can you guarantee a shirtless video of you celebrating if that were to happen?
Can't.
Can we get a confirmation?
In a suite?
I can honestly say I will not have my shirt off if we get Manny.
Listen, there's no joking around. No satire from you tomorrow, okay?
No, I'm sorry, Dad. So Nuke's already told me I can't drink. I can't have any satire. I can't lick toads. I can't smoke rocks. I can't do anything that I want to do.
No cigarettes.
Do you have your jewel?
I got the jewel. That thing's locked and loaded. It's on the charger right now.
Do you have your official news notepad?
No, dude. I'm showing up with my phone and a book bag full of Busch Light Tall Boys.
Are you ready to fight Bruce Levine? That's the real question.
Jesus Christ.
Prickly Bruce.
Are you gonna box out Bruce in the scrum? Be right up next to
I'm
Rick
scared.
Hahn?
I'm not being the guy that breaks Bruce Levine's hip. That is not. I'm not wearing that crown.
Stop it.
That is not happening. I will respect my elders as I've always been taught, and I will not box out Bruce. It'll be fun. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to meet some other guys that are bloggers, podcast guys. You know, if the big J journals will look down on me.
Before we end the show.
You're going to be right in the mix with them, man. Mixing it up.
Before we end the show, we have to bring up Yonder Alonso, just teasing the fuck out of White Sox.
Oh, my God. Yonder, why?
He's like, he keeps saying, what was his direct quote? It was like, Manny Machado, he has a bright future, and so do we. And as I've said before, we might be neighbors. Like, if Manny doesn't sign...
Then he smiled and laughed.
If Manny doesn't sign with the Sox, you got to trade Alonso, because that's very mean.
Do you know how tired he is of answering questions about his brother-in-law?
About his brother-in-law in the next 3 days?
You know what? Tomorrow, I'm telling you, he is probably in his suite tonight, just like, I don't want to answer another damn question about Manny Machado. What am I going to say? He's prepping it, and it's just going to be like pelted with it.
Just FaceTiming Manny right now. Like, just please just sign so they can announce it, so I don't have to answer any more questions about it. Just sign the damn contract. Please.
Yonder should just like have it on FaceTime. But Rizzo was like on his honeymoon, but Bryant during the Cubs convention, he just put him on FaceTime, and like for a couple of minutes, it wasn't a big deal. But that's what Yonder should do. Just put Manny on FaceTime, say hi to the fans, and then that'll make
what up? And now everybody goes nuts. Zoe starts burning things.
So you got to ask.
Zoe asked that question. Will you put Machado on FaceTime right now? Answer.
Yes. There you go.
It's actually kind of a question I probably would ask.
And they just got to ask him, how does it feel that your sister married someone famous? And then...
Oh, goodness. Oh, man.
That's like...
Don't ask that question.
That's basically how he has to feel, right? Like,
what if I tease him? No. I think if I'm just like, hey, I just want to know when you think, and he's going to be like, oh, I don't want to answer this about Manny. And I'll just be like, when do you think Mike Trout's going to come to the White Sox? And just see him get completely off guard and be like, what are you talking about, you crackhead?
He's got
credentials revoked.
On Twitter.
There's going to be somebody following you and just rip it off your neck.
No
What
trouble.
was that, Aldo?
On Twitter, My Sox Summer. I think he's part of the 108 crew, right?
Yeah.
He is. He found Eloy. He took a picture with Eloy.
I think that's Mr. Aloha.
Alrighty.
Mr. Hand.
Mr. Aloha Hand.
You got beat. You got beat first.
Yeah,
So-
that guy always gets the good pictures, though.
Well, you got to hustle tomorrow. You got to hustle.
Can I?
Oh, no,
Can
my,
I?
my Sox Summer got one, too. Good for you, dude. Way to go, bro.
Oh, was this in the season ticket
Yeah,
holder thing?
Definitely the season ticket holder thing.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man.
Listen, don't be the guy asking for pictures tomorrow. You're a big J Journo. You're supposed to act like you've been here.
Which I haven't, though. And I don't give a shit. If I get to get a picture with Eloy, I'm taking a
You're
damn
making
picture.
me nervous. You're making me nervous. I'm gonna get an angry email as your editor. I'm gonna get an angry email from somebody important. Don't do it.
I'm going to take a picture with Eloy. Maybe
Well,
I'll post
It's gonna be like across the room.
You
You're
have
gonna
to
take a
invite Eloy
selfie,
on.
and he's Eloy. Like you're gonna have to circle him.
That's what I'm going to
There
do.
he is.
I'll be 50 yards away from him, and I'll just go like this, and he'll be in the background. I'll be like,
Me and my best friend.
Yep, that's a profile picture.
Me and my best friend.
Yep, boom, done.
So you have to get your business card out. Just start handing it out to all the players.
I actually weirdly was thinking about that today. Like, I was like, shit, I wish I had
You
Pinwheels and
should.
Ivy business cards.
Yeah.
All
You
right,
should.
well, we can keep talking about this offline. We'll end the show right there. All right, everybody, make sure you're following us for see what happens tomorrow because you know about as much as I do. So
Oh,
for
act like you know.
K-Fids, Nuke, Aldo Amzo, this is Pinwheels and Ivy. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.